this is one that'll really blow you away. So 5 loads. Think about 5 loads.
Okay.
Now you a money guy. You in the wealth, so you gonna follow this real quick. So 5 loads at $1,000 per load,
Okay.
and your customer runs them Monday through Friday. You know what that comes out to? 1.3, 1.3 million. 1.3 million on your book of business with that because of 5 loads, by the way. So your customer has a load that goes from wherever to wherever. And so here's the thing about lanes. Most of them are what's considered dedicated lanes because they go from the same origin to the same destination.
Okay.
Dedicated lane. It go from Baltimore to Philly. This load of apples every 2 weeks or every day or however often the market needs it, however often the demand is calling for that commodity type, it needs to move. This lumber needs to move from Baltimore to Philly every day.
Okay.
So I got 5 of them every day. That's paying $1,000 each. That's $5,000 a day and $25,000 a week.
That's crazy.
And that $25,000 a week, that's $1.3 million on the year.
Hey, family. This is Che Willis coming back with another episode of Wealth is a Journey podcast. Guys, we are moving. We are shaking out here, like I say, every week, putting out good content, bringing on good guests. Before I start, I always like to thank everybody who's liked, who shared, who subscribed to Wealth is a Journey podcast. On this podcast, and sometimes I forget, so forgive me, I'm new at this. Sometimes I forget to talk about what the podcast is about because I assume that everybody who's watching the podcast has watched already. But if you are new to this podcast, we talk about health, we talk about wealth, we talk about budgeting, we talk about marriage, fatherhood, all things that's going to make you a well-rounded person that you're going to need on your wealth journey. So today we are in for a treat. We have a special guest today. My guy is out here moving and shaking. Like when I say I'm bringing on my millionaire friends, like this guy is out here really doing it, and we're going to get into it. My guy, Bryan Henderson, I met this gentleman a while back. He's a part of the Morning Meetup, the group that I talk about almost every episode because the Morning Meetup has changed my life. Shout out to Dave Shands and his team. But I got my man Bryan Henderson on here today to talk about 4K Logistics, his business. So why don't you introduce yourself, bro?
Yes. Shay, bro. Thanks for having me on. Wealth is a journey.
Wealth is a journey. Yes, sir.
I absolutely love the name because it's so true. Wealth is a journey, man. This thing is a journey. So my name is Bryan Henderson. A lot of people call me Big B. I've taken the throne as King of Logistics.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. This King of Logistics. I'm a freight broker and glad to be on the show, man. Happy to be on the show.
Yeah. I'm glad to have you. First of all, if nobody has heard the accent, and I'm going to assume that you're from Baltimore.
No,
you're not.
No, sir.
Uh-oh.
From Baltimore. I'm from DC, man. DC.
Okay, my bad.
Yeah. You know that's a hard one there. You can't. We can't. You know.
Yeah. I went to Cheney University, and I don't know how old you are, but I'm assuming we're around the same age. I'm 44. I'm assuming you're probably a little bit younger or around
38.
There you go. Okay. All right. And so when I went to Cheney back in 97 to 2001, there was a lot of people from DC there. And a lot of the people from DC just hung out with people from DC. They did not kind of stray outside of the DC thing. and the girls wore what are they called, furloughs or something like that. They were like real tight jeans. I forget what they were called, but then they wore wrestling shoes too. I don't know. Did they still do that?
Hey, my wife was wearing wrestling shoes today.
Oh man, yeah. So I thought that you was from Baltimore. I apologize. I used to
No, it's fine.
Go down to Morgan State all the time to visit my boy, and we used to go to the Paradox and Fahrenheit and hang out, and it was the greatest time ever. So shout out to my man Hassan West.
Now I say I'm not from Baltimore. I do not claim Baltimore, but if you look up my business, we are registered where? In Baltimore.
Got it.
Because we just happened to move up the road. So, we from, down that side, different county, different territory. It's like two different worlds. Yeah. From, where me and my wife from the same neighborhood down, it's Landover, PG County. And we just happened to start migrating more north. Our money took us north as we,
That sounds like a good thing. Your money's going north, you going north.
Yeah, we just happened to get more bang for our buck, and we just had to go that direction. Like we're not, and changing your environment, you know how that is. When you change your environment, this things start happening. Special things start happening.
And I'm glad you brought that up, bro, because changing my environment, joining the morning meetup about 1.5 years ago, has changed my life for the better. It really brought me out of my shell, which I'll get into, at some point in time. But what I want to know is, who was Bryan before you joined the morning meetup? And then who's Bryan now?
Ooh, okay. Good question. Before I joined the morning meetup, I was Bryan that was behind the scenes 100%. I was not showing my face. I was not out there. I was just about doing the work, trying to provide for my family and keep it pushing, So I was a solopreneur. Mm-hmm. I started my business maybe probably about 1.5 years before I joined the meetup. And it was just head down and work, man. Because first time being an entrepreneur, like really on my own without the security of a job. You know what I'm saying? So stepping out there, it was just like grind. And I was by myself doing that. And, one thing that will really kind of speaks to where I was at is before I started the morning meetup, I had actually said this to my wife, that a self-development book can't do anything for me. Mm-hmm. I was like, that books can't do nothing for me. I'm like, that's where I was at.
Yeah. You was like DMX and Belly. Kids can't eat no books, dog.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. What the book gonna do for me?
Yeah.
So that's where I was at. I really was like, I just wasn't into that space. And I was to myself, with this sticking to myself and to my family. I really, over the years from my youth, my trust has went through some things with people. So I just stick to what I know and stick to my family. And that's how it had been before I started the meetup. But one thing that I started feeling was that I needed to start getting around some community and getting around some people and getting around like-minded individuals, because as I started the business, I wanted to learn, because I never had been in a position where I was earning money like this, So I'm like, okay, this is different. I need to start learning about what I need to do next and things I need to be focusing on as I'm growing this business. So I started taking, getting information from free resources like YouTube, diving into YouTube about, just financial literacy and entrepreneurship and growing your business. And one reoccurring thing I just kept hearing over and over was you need to get around. You need to get in the room.
Yep.
You need to get in the room.
Yep.
I kept hearing it. You need to get in the room. You need to get in the room. And I was like, yeah, I need to get in the room because I don't have anybody that I can communicate right now with at this level.
Yep.
No
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
I have no one that I can communicate with. And while I was on that journey through YouTube, who did I come upon? Mr. Shams.
Yes, sir.
So he grabbed my attention and brought me right into the meetup without saying anything to me, but he was speaking to me.
Yeah.
And since I've been in it, things have, just like you said, my life has completely changed. Now, I've always been a driven individual, I feel. I feel I've always been ambitious and always been a go-getter and a leader and all of that. I've always felt that way about myself. But getting in that room and, hearing the way how he challenges us to think outside the box, to not be lazy. Like, that was one. Look, I got that. That was something that he did say to me. Directly was, bro, hold up. Like, the question that I asked, he's like, sound like you don't want it. Sound like you might be being lazy. And I'm like, whoa, I never really got that. I never got that. I never got that coaching. That mentor. It was just from me, looking at videos and stuff. So getting in the room and getting around him, being the mastermind he is, and the other individuals that he brings on, millionaires that we can just ask questions right on the screen like this. Like it's amazing. So it's changed so much for me. I mean, first time going to Atlanta, first time being to Atlanta from the meetup. And since being in the community, I went down to his studio and did a content day with him and took my daughter. So it's changing not only my life, but my family life. Like it's really been life changing. Even this, like, it was inspiration. I have another studio in my basement that I built after I came back from his studio. When I came back, it just inspired me. So I'm like, that's nice. I could do that myself because I'm going on this journey of exposure. Another thing that I learned from the meetup.
Yeah, that's dope, man. And I don't think people understand. They see the great things about entrepreneurship, the money that you can make and and so forth. But being an entrepreneur is so lonely, bro. Especially if you don't have friends, obviously, that are in entrepreneurship, because they don't understand the things that you go through mentally, that you can, because it seems like to them, like you're just complaining. Like, what are you complaining about? You got your own business. Like, what are you doing? And being a part of, for many reasons, but just being a part of the morning meetup just for that is dope. Like, you can bounce ideas off of different people and see what they have going on. And for me, I'm the budget guy, right? And I like to, well, before I came to the morning meetup, I was like, I'm not paying to be a part of nobody group. That's stupid. I'm not doing that. But like you, I heard get in the room. But I'm like, okay, well, what does that mean? And I'm thinking, okay, well, once I got over that, I need to pay. So I paid. I prayed first about what group I would join, and Dave Shands sat right in my spirit to move along with that. And I was to the point where, like, I thought, okay, well, I'm in the room now. Now what? I'm just sitting in the back, kind of like you were saying, sitting in the background, not saying nothing, not participating. And I mentioned it before on the podcast that I was going to quit because I'm like, this is stupid. Like, I'm not doing anything. But my wife was like, yo, well, are you participating? I'm like, well, no. But as soon as I started participating, things started picking up. Things started picking up. And I'm so glad that I stuck with it, bro, because I'm meeting people like yourself Obviously having conversations with Dave while we're doing the morning meetup, and bringing me out of my shell to even host the part of the morning meetup. Like that's a huge deal for me, man. And to bring me out of that, bro, like it's a big deal, man. So anybody I talk to, I'm like, who were you before? Because I need to know, because I know who I am now and who I'm becoming. So I need to know like who you were and you know, things
And
like that.
I can definitely you know relate to you as far as the coming out of the shell. And I think that's a big part of what he helps a lot of us with in coming in, because I wasn't the social media guy at all. You know, I just was like, I'm not into that. I didn't have my Instagram page had my face nowhere on it. Intentionally. I had my daughter, my oldest daughter, start our Instagram page, and I was letting her manage it. I'm like, and she still is involved with it now, but she would bring me stuff that would have my face on it, and I'd be like, nah, babe, let's do something else. Really, because I just wasn't about that. And one thing that, you know, being in the group helped me realize is things are different nowadays.
Yeah.
Things are not the same. People don't make money the same.
Mm-mm.
And you can sit back and keep waiting and miss the whole wave.
Yep.
Because you're trying to do things the way it used to be.
Correct.
Instead of catching up and just like not following the trend, but social media, to be out of it as a business, thinking about it now, you crazy. Like, how could you have a business and not have a presence on social media?
Yeah. And that's one thing I wrestle with, bro, because I hate wasting time. Like I'm the type of person, I hate wasting time. And I feel like right now I deleted my apps on the social media apps because I feel like I'm scrolling, even if it's 5 minutes or 10 minutes, I'm scrolling. I get on there for one thing and I scroll. And next thing I know, 10 minutes later, I'm still scrolling. Like, what did I get on here for again? So I think for me, it's a thing where, okay, get on there for what you need to get on there for, and then dip. You know what I'm saying? And but I think you're right. And I think also with being in the group, um, being a doer of what you hear, because you can be a consumer of the information and you just consume information. Oh yeah, that was good. I'm gonna consume this information. I'm gonna write it down. Cool, yeah. And then what?
Yeah,
What do you
yeah,
do?
because here, you know what that can do to you, especially with the group, because if you don't have your mind set on what you want to do,
Yeah,
it can really overwhelm you a little bit. You
yeah,
know, if you're not level headed to say, well, that's not my information right there.
yeah.
You know, because
Yep.
everything ain't for you.
Facts. Facts.
Everything ain't for you. But you can, like, people can, you got folks that come on that have done things, that have been successful at things, and it sounds so good.
Mm.
So if you're not straight about what you want to do,
Yeah,
you hear this idea that somebody else has been successful in. I don't mean it's for you to start charging 100 miles per hour towards something new because you just heard it.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
you know, it's something to be able to take in the information and apply what works for you.
Correct. I agree. I agree 100%. And that's another thing I talk about on this podcast is purpose. Like your knowing your purpose is very, very important, especially if you're in business, because you can be doing, like you said, if you're not clear on what you're supposed to be doing, or how to do the thing that you're supposed to be doing, then whatever sounds good over here, you're going to do. And then something else sounds good over here, then you're in this direction. Then you're back here doing this. And you have to be clear on what you're supposed to be doing in order to be successful in business. Because you could be pulled in so many different directions, man.
Yeah, and I would say, like, you have to make that commitment. One thing, so I went to the the meetup at that they had. It was
Back
the
in May.
cookout.
The May. Yeah. I remember. Yep.
Right. We was there together.
Yep.
We had so I remember when I got up and I asked my question. And Donnie was like, pick one thing. Do it very well. Master one thing. And then reward yourself with the next.
Yeah. Yep.
So yes, wow, this looks good and this looks good and this sounds good. Until you master one, you're gonna be driving yourself crazy trying to chase all these different, just focus on one.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, and get really good at that one. Because you can actually do it. If you really with purpose, like you said, when I started the freight brokerage, it was built on purpose and a commitment that I knew this is what I'm going to do right now.
Yeah.
I knew it. Before I started it, I researched, I did all this work and trying to figure out what the business is about, trying to learn as much as I could. And once I learned it and I was ready, I was like, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I told my wife, and I was like, look, I'm not a salesperson. I've never done sales before. So I don't see this as being a quick starter. Yeah. Like, it's not just going out the gate like that, because I don't even know sales, and this is a sales business. Yes, sir. So, babe, you see what we about to do? We about to go jump into something that we know nothing about. Don't know nothing about, other than the information that I've been getting from, I've been in trucking for 20 years, but I've never been a freight broker before.
So what's the difference? So first of all, what is a trucker, which is pretty self-explanatory, and what is a freight broker?
Okay, so let's go freight broker first. Okay. So you think of Walmart. Walmart has all these different goods, and they have, say, 1,000 loads today that they need to move. Mm-hmm. Walmart will communicate with a freight broker who has access to thousands, tens of thousands of trucks.
Okay.
The freight broker then goes and he takes the loads from Walmart at a rate. Mm-hmm. Say Walmart says we'll pay you $1,000 per load. So Walmart gives me 100 loads at $1,000 per load. And those loads are mine. They're gonna pay me in probably 30 days. But those are my loads right now. So I can take those loads, and whatever price I feel I can move them for, I'm gonna sell them to truck drivers.
Wow.
Yes. And every truck that you see, let me tell you this. 88% of truck drivers get their work from freight brokers.
Wow.
And 80% of shippers use freight brokers to move their loads.
Because it's easy, because all you got to do is make a phone call. Hey, I need this moved. And you make
it about Walmart, and it's a whole process as far as where we are, because we have to vet the carrier. We have to get them set up with us. We're not just using any old body.
Sure. Yeah.
Because they're the face of your business at the end of the day. You're the middleman. You need them to do a good job. You also want to pay them well if you're trying to do good business as a freight broker. Because you want them to do a good job for you. You don't want them all pissed off on your load because you negotiated with them and you negotiate them down, make them feel bad. No, that's not what we do.
Yeah.
We want to give the truck what the truck wants.
Okay.
Once we take care of the truck rate, then we're charging our customer the rate on top of that. It's a whole. So if the truck, on that same $1,000 load that I got if the truck said he's good to take 900, I made $100 on that load.
Okay.
But I got 100 of them. I mean, I got 1,000 of them. Mm-hmm. So it's about the volume. And the reason why Walmart is going to deal with us instead of the truck is because when you're going down the road, it's more single truck companies on the road than there are big truck companies.
Okay.
There are more single owner operators.
Charge more?
Huh?
The big truck companies are going to charge more?
Well, not necessarily that they'll charge more. It's just the whole sourcing process for that logistics manager at Walmart. as opposed to calling 4TK Logistics and giving me 500 loads, calling another broker, giving them 500 loads. We have to vet, we have to go through the process of scheduling, making sure that drivers show up on time, making sure the driver, I mean, well, before even all that, making sure you got insurance and you got a good truck and the type of equipment that we need to move this load. All that first, and then we gotta just track throughout the process to make sure it picks up the load, delivers the load, because each one of these loads could be worth up to $100,000 in certain situations. Some, like us, we have cargo insurance that's up to $250,000, which means one of our customers has loads that required us to have insurance that is up to $250,000. That means that's how much is traveling on that truck. So it's a big deal.
Yeah.
When they're giving us this work. And it's a very large industry as far as the freight broker industry. In the US, it's a $16 billion industry annually.
Wow.
Globally, it's $60 billion annually. And you know where we are? The weight that I'd say, just if we talk about statistics, African Americans hold about 5%.
Wow.
Of the, market as a freight broker.
So how did you say, hey, I want to get into this arena? How did that happen?
So for many years, I looked at different businesses. I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. When I was a teenager, I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I thought about having apartments when I was young, because I was like, if I have apartments, they got to pay me rent every month and I don't have to do nothing. So that's that was my mindset when I was young. I was like, yeah, I always wanted to be a boss, always wanted to be an entrepreneur, wasn't sure, and when I started working, I gravitated towards warehousing.
Okay.
So I started as a laborer, unloading trucks, temp agencies and all that. So from the bottom, learning everything straight from the bottom, and doing the best job I could as a laborer. I was moving them boxes.
Mm-hmm. But how bad did it suck working as a laborer? And I'm
well,
going.
it actually, it sucked, but it was one of those that was like, I had family at home.
Yeah.
So it was a different, it felt different because, I had family at home and I'm like, this the money that I can get right now, so I'm about to get it.
Yeah.
But
the reason I asked that was because, like, people despise humble beginnings. They despise it. This sucks. I hate it. I need to be doing something else. But you need to be where you are, because you learned all the inner workings of the job working from the bottom. And people just want to be automatically at the top. And you can't do that. You can't learn from the top.
Yeah, and that's the thing. From even then, when I was working next to somebody, it wasn't about complaining about what we're doing.
Yeah.
I don't have time for that. I'm just ready to rock so I can go home. Let me go ahead and knock this out so I can go home. And my thing was, I didn't have a problem with that because I knew any job that I went to, any and every job that I went to, that was not my ending spot. I was not finishing there. So it didn't mean a whole lot to me because I'm like, I'm going somewhere. It's okay that I'm here right now, but I'm going to keep working. So even being a laborer, it wasn't a big deal for me because I saw other positions and I just worked. And then you know what happened? I started getting pulled in those positions. So I went from labor to what is it? Like assistant manager.
Okay.
And then and in a short period of time. And so I'm looking at these positions like, man, I wonder how long it take me to, work myself to that. So every job I worked in, it was about providing as much value as possible.
Bro, stop right there, please, please, please. Entrepreneurs, if you are a beginning entrepreneur, please just focus on adding value. That's it, bro. That's all you need to do. Just focus on adding value. Brian, I'm so glad you said that, bro, because I think a lot of people miss the boat on just adding value. If you add value to somebody else's life, then you are always going to be in demand. Always. Continue. I'm sorry.
Yes, yes. And so every job I went to, that was my main focus. Whenever anybody was talking about anything else, I'm like, I'm just gonna add as much value as possible.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna do the job to where nobody can really say that I'm not doing anything. Because I've always had intuition. I'm like, I'm not standing back watching. That need to be, oh, you ain't help me with that. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I was always a jump in type of guy. And I'll lead the pack and showing, let me jump in. So by me having that type of mentality, people saw that and started pulling me.
Mm-hmm.
So they pulled me up. Let me take you with me because you're making my life easier.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So from the laborer place, I had this guy, my guy Mike, and all the somewhere out in the world, Mike is out there, and I still communicate with him. And Mike said, "Look, Brian, I'm taking you with me." And he took me to this other job, and he took me in with him to the owner of the company. And I'm telling you, I'm about 18 years old, young as, just young and green. Don't know much about management or anything. But he took me in and he said, before we went in, he said, Brian, I'm telling him that me and you was in management together at the last spot. So I'm telling them that you was a manager. Okay. We about to go sit down. So we went and sit down and I get the assistant manager job with him. He got the position above me. So he brought me with him.
Yeah.
And then he didn't like it. So he rolled out. He was like, man, I'm out of here. He left me there. And I'm telling you, I was the manager by myself and I was getting kicked in the butt by everybody in Baltimore. I'm telling you, it was rough. It was rough because I was dealing with the dudes from off the corner that was just coming in to get a job. And they was like, who's this young guy trying to tell me what to do as an assistant manager? You don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So it was rough.
Yeah.
And I had to humble myself a whole lot because I'm from the streets.
Yeah.
Like I'm from the streets. So I'm just saying, I'm from the streets.
Yeah.
So I had to humble myself. And then I'm in Baltimore, different territory, and these guys talking crazy to me. So, it was a really humbling experience. But I still focused on doing the best job that I could do in that role.
Yeah.
And then I moved on to another place that was bigger than that in the same field. I wanted to drive, so I moved out of management to this other company where I took a step down to drive, but it was a bigger company.
Okay.
So I was like, I'm going to a bigger company that I have more space to grow, but I took a step back.
Yeah.
Into a driving position with my family and everything. And what happened over there pulled me up. But let me tell you this first though.
Yeah.
If I could tell you this really quick, this one story real quick about this place. So when I get there, it's a gentleman that looks like us.
Yep.
That works there. And he's talking all good. Brian, you are my protege, which I ain't care too much for because like, I'm me. I'm not really whatever. But he's like, you've been doing a great job. The customers request you. Like, and I was a driver and I was a delivery driver. He was like, man, everybody loves you. You've been completing jobs quicker than we've done them in the past. You saving us money and everything. Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay, great. So that's me providing value. So when I started, he agreed to give me $15.50 per hour. But my first check was $15 per hour. So after all this, you've been providing value. I'm like 6 months in. Hey, bro, can I get a raise? Because I did not even get the 50 cents that was supposed to be on my check when I first started. So he slighted me. He was like, we'll do it after a year. So after a year came, he gave me $1. And I wasn't really happy with the dollar. But I still did my job. But I've always been one to voice, to speak, especially at jobs, because you get walked over if you don't speak up sometimes. So I just was like, hey, I got a family. I'm trying to grow. I understand. I appreciate you giving me what you did, but I'm probably going to need to find something on the side or start looking. I'm not giving no notice, but I just got to grow. So that was bad for him. And next thing he did, got me laid off.
Wow.
I had been there for like 3 years and watched other people get laid off and never got laid off because I was one of the ones that provided value. I would do whatever, I would do anything. And he got me laid off. Looked like.
And you just told him you had a family,
what happened?
Trying to do things.
I happened to be already looking at another job. I went and started the other job, and my wife was like, you should reach out to the owner, because the owner liked me because he heard from him talking so much about how good Brian was.
Yeah.
You should talk to the owner. I was like, babe, he already know. I'm not about to chase that down. I really, but what I wasn't listening to my wife.
I was going to say that, bro. I was going to say that.
I should have listened to my wife, because when I did call and I got in contact with the owner, he said he didn't even know I was laid off.
Wow.
You see what we did? See what, not we, but you see what he did? And he, not on a, it's not personal, it's business, but he knew I had a family, small, young family and everything too. And I didn't do anything to be laid off.
You just asked for more money, which you probably deserve. Money. Yeah.
So that was a sad situation. End up, the owner said, you want to come back in a different division? I said, absolutely. And so the other division, who the manager was?
The same guy?
No. But he didn't look like us.
Okay.
And he brought me right on.
That's crazy.
And after he brought me on as a driver, he brought me into the office. Him and Mike was the same, you know what I'm saying? Him and Mike was like the same guy.
Yeah.
And they looked out and they said, this young guy is trying to do well by his family. He does a good job while he's at work. They pulled me in. And so over that time, I was looking at businesses, because I still, even though, okay, it's fine, pull me in, I got a job, I got management positions, all that, I still never was like, this is my ending spot. Yeah. I'm just doing what I naturally do, which is always try to provide the much value. So in that process, like every year, they was giving me a different position that was higher. And I was still looking at businesses. And my first thought was, because I had my Class A, was to start a trucking business. That was the first thought. Start a trucking business. And I looked at the numbers, because I've always tried to be a numbers guy. And I'm like, okay, if I'm gonna get into anything, I'm gonna need money to get into it, and then I'm gonna need money to maintain it. And every time I looked at it, the numbers didn't work for me to get a truck based off of what I was my life, my current lifestyle.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? I had a wife and at the time probably 4 kids, and I'm like, I can't. No, we had 5 kids at the time. I'm like, I can't leave my job to drive trucks, because I'm gonna need more than one truck for it to work.
Okay.
That's just, I'm like, this is not about me, struggling as an owner operator and repeating this cycle and just going to get another job basically for myself where I'm gonna have to work in the job. So it just didn't work when I looked at being a truck driver. So I just kept looking and was trying to figure it out what it was. My wife ended up getting a dispatching course. And I looked at that and I was like, I don't know. And I just was searching around online and I came up on Freight Broker. And when I looked at it, the expenses to get in was little to nothing. Like it was margins less than trying to get my own truck.
Okay.
It was like thousands less.
And
And
probably
the
less physical work too.
less physical work, less risk. And when I really looked at the math, I'm like, hold up. If I was doing the trucking business the way I want to with a fleet and trucks and drivers and all that, I'm gonna have to pay the drivers, I'm gonna have to pay the fuel, I'm gonna have to pay the insurance, I'm gonna have to pay for the truck, I'm gonna have to pay for all this different stuff. And at the end of the day, this is what I'm gonna make. So as a freight broker, because I'm the middleman and I don't have the truck, I have to pay the truck for them, for all his expenses he got. But I'm just cutting out all that part. I'm cutting out the whole thing, and I'm basically still making the same money, but more, because as that owner operator, he got one truck. How many loads a day can the one truck cover? You know what I'm saying? But as a freight broker, you can give me 20. That's the difference. I could take 20 loads a day and sit right here in my office and move them 20 loads and make more money actually than the truck.
So
by not trying to take, but taking a small percentage. That's small, because my customer, when you find the right customer, they're paying me to find them trucks. So they know he has to pay the truck too, and then my fee is on top of that, which is a small fee. We basically about 15%. So we find out whatever the truck needs, and then we add 15% onto that.
Okay. So how long did it take for you to say, okay, I got it, to actually start? Or did you start when you were still working?
I was still working. That's so I was at my so not the place where I moved up the ladder. I became director of operations. It's a crazy story how I ended up having to exit that company. But I went to another company. I was a regional manager there. And so I was overseeing this large Amazon account where we were contractors for Amazon. We used to move about 80 to 100 box trucks a night for Amazon. I'm talking about Monday through Sunday. 7 days a week, we was doing Amazon. And it was 80 to 100 box trucks every single night. While I was there, I got the idea to start the freight brokerage in 2021. And that was February. We didn't start operating until about June. And in June, we was just trying to get our feet wet, trying to get going, trying to get some customers, tapping into old contacts, moving a couple loads here and there. And then, as we moving along, start picking up a little bit of steam. November come around, and I told my wife, I said, look, I'm not leaving the job. Not yet.
Yeah.
Because they were paying me $125,000 a year.
All right.
And I mean, I was working 7 days for it.
Sure.
But it was a very lax job. I was managing owner operators. So these are not employees. These are guys that need to come get these loads. So that was not like nothing really hard to manage. But sure, they were paying me $125,000. And come November, they laid me off.
Wow.
And at the same time, what was happening? We were in our first house and we decided to sell our house. And we had already went under contract on a new construction.
Golly.
And that was based off of my W-2 income. So wow, I'm telling you, November, it was a Sunday, we put down money on our brand new house. Monday, I went to work and got laid off.
Golly.
I'm talking about Sunday, Monday.
That's crazy,
the
bro.
Next day, I went to work and got laid off.
But you were already generating some type of income from
the business.
Okay, good.
With the business. So at that point, when the day that happened, I worked directly for the owners. So they brought me into their office, and I'm telling you, if it was a show, they should have won a daggone Academy Award because they were really empathetic about having to let me go. Like they was like, Brian, this is not on you, man. Like it's just slow. It's really slow, and I that's one thing about that I understood about corporate as I started getting these big. I'm like, I'm a target, man. I'm a target. I'm not, I start not really feeling safe, start feeling insecure because if I do my job really well, I can almost be replaced really easy.
What's going on, family? This is Che Willis from Wealth is a Journey podcast. I don't know if you guys know, but I help families who are living paycheck to paycheck live the life that they want to live through budgeting and investing. If this is you or you know somebody, go to wealthisajourney.com to book a free discovery call to see if we're a good fit to work with each other for either budgeting or if you're a beginner investor. Again, you can book a free discovery call to see if we're a good fit to work with each other. Again, wealthisajourney.com, wealthisajourney.com. Let's get back to the episode. Yeah.
Because if I create processes that 300 people can follow, then we may be able to slip him out and slip somebody else in.
Yep.
So things got slow for them. And in that meeting, I said, thank you. I was like, look, they were sad, not me.
Yeah.
I was not sad. Because at that point, I was actually going to work and leaving money at home.
God, so you were making more money at home than you were going to. Beautiful.
So I was like, thanks. I said, you know what? I appreciate the opportunity. And I hope that we can connect in the future. I learned a lot while I was here. Thank you. I appreciate it. And I still communicate. Huh?
That's what I was going to ask you. Do you ever work with those people still?
Not now, but I have open communication with them. But from what I heard, they're still very slow.
Okay.
So he's been an entrepreneur that I am and the creative thinker that I am. I have some ideas of things that I could do with them that could probably help them generate more income. But I it is what it is. I would like to, but because one thing, I never burn bridges. I never burn any bridges because every job I go to is about trying to provide the most value as possible. So even the company I was at before, I communicate with them and trying to do some business with them, which we haven't got any work yet because they are a multi-million-dollar company that moves a lot of work. And we're trying to work on that one to get in, but we haven't yet. But still got open line of communication with them.
So, go ahead. I'm sorry.
When I got laid off, when it happened, I called my wife in the parking lot, and it was, that's difficult. That's difficult because what we just did yesterday, we just signed yesterday and put money down yesterday on a brand new house. And so I had to call her and I'm like, babe, just got laid off. I said, but it's on.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's on. I said, they don't know what they just did. Really, they don't know what they just did. They just gave me my time back. I'm like, babe, we are straight. We good. We're good. Let's rock.
Because all you really need is you just need to call more people to get more loads going to make more money. Like your earning potential is pretty much untapped. As long as you're calling, you can make as much money as you want.
Because freight is everywhere. Freight is everywhere. Everywhere you look, them nice chairs you got right there, they was, it was all freight at some point, and it got to be moved. So the industry is just steadily going up, and demand for freight brokers is steadily increasing. Now, you even have, I mean, you know, in transportation and transportation news, it's some big freight brokers that are going out of business. But that doesn't mean anything for me. Would it? Well, no. Hold on.
Okay, yeah.
For me, it means more opportunity
Yeah.
for me because
Okay.
those big freight brokers had a lot of customers that still need freight moves.
So why would a big name freight company that's moving a lot of work back and forth go out of business?
Not managing their money. That's really it. Because at the end of the day, for us as freight brokers, we move money. I know you like that too.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, you know I do.
So here's something that I let me enlighten you. We move money as a freight broker. That's the only thing we take possession of. We don't touch the freight. We don't touch the truck. We don't touch none of that. The only thing that we actually take possession of is the money. So a big freight broker can go out of business by growing their overhead too much, bringing on employees and staff and growing too fast and not paying out, not paying out on time. You know, one thing you can, as a freight broker, we have to get what's called a surety bond. And the surety bond is protection for the truck driver. Because there's really no, other than the bond, there's no insurance for a truck to know that they're going to get paid. Just
Okay.
think, it's some wild cowboy out there that's getting, he's had a good conversation with you because you're a logistics manager and you like, hey, Bob, I'll give you 15 loads. And you give Bob 15 loads and you pay Bob for the 15 loads. And Bob has all this money and he thinks it's his. And he keeps the money and
Okay.
he doesn't pay the trucks. Now, that's one way a trucking company can go out of business because that trucking company can now go against your bond and you need your bond to be a broker. It's a requirement.
Got it.
So there's different levels of bonds, different amounts. Like the minimum is 75,000. That doesn't mean that we have to pay 75,000. We just have to pay a percentage to be able to maintain the bond.
Okay.
So if you have a courier that you don't pay 75,000, that is going to cancel your bond out.
Okay.
And you can no longer do business as a freight broker. So that's one way to go out, but majority it's always based around core money management.
Okay. So I know you had talked about on the morning meetup about doing a course on the freight brokerage. But before you talk about that, because I do want you to talk about it, what are some of the horror stories, or just one? Are there any horror stories for you as the brokerage? Because I know you don't touch anything except the money. What may be a horror story is the freight didn't make it to where it was supposed to go, then they call you. What happens?
Hey, so I had this one load for a customer and it was an expedited load. It was to go on a flatbed truck, but it was a small load, so it didn't need a full flatbed. Um and it was something that needed to move quick. So I had a courier, checked them out, everything looked good.
Hmm.
Everything checked out, like no issues at all. I do the negotiation, get him the load, and he picks up. Everything is fine. On in transit, there's a delay that starts, and miscommunication starts getting lost. And I'm like, okay, what's going on? And then we're like close to delivery time, and I'm still not getting any answer. So I'm like, what is going on? Where's this load? Like, I really need this to deliver in the next hour. And
Yeah.
then time keeps going by, and the dispatcher that I'm communicating with starts being a little evasive. Like, he's not giving me the information. I'm feeling like he's lying about something. He's not telling me everything.
Yeah.
And then come to find out, something fell off the truck.
Oh.
So part of the load fell off the truck. and the driver was trying to put it back on, but it's heavy.
Yeah.
So he wasn't able to get it back on.
Yeah.
So by the time the dispatcher actually tells me what's going on, he's like, we need to get a forklift. I'm like, what? And so he's telling me like it's something that I need to do in the process. Like, bro, this load was on your truck. You strapped it down. You're supposed to secure the load and check it while in transit.
Yeah.
If you were doing your job, this would never have happened.
Yeah.
But that happened. It fell off the truck. He ended up getting it back, getting an actual forklift to come on site. No, it was a tow truck. Tow truck dipped the bed down, scooped it up, was able to, like drop it down on the truck. And delivered late and everything. But what happened, even though that happened before, like early on part, it was more. It was more. So there was damage to the freight.
Mm-hmm.
So my customer had to file a claim.
Mm-hmm.
And now, as a freight broker, being the middleman, you can avoid that if your customer is willing to work with you.
Yeah.
But the carrier has to be willing to work with you also. Because what you want to do is, to your customer, you just say, here's the carrier's information. You know what I'm saying? Deal with him. You don't have to go through my insurance. He has insurance.
Yeah.
Go to his insurance. So when I tried to go after their insurance, he says, oh, that wasn't even my truck. It was somebody else's truck.
So he brokered, you brokered him, then he brokered the guy. That's crazy.
So at this point, I'm like, who has my load? It delivered at that point, but now when I'm trying to get information for my customers so they don't go after my insurance, you're saying talk to this person and I can't even get in contact with them. Now I'm chasing somebody who I'm chasing a ghost.
Wow.
I'm chasing a ghost. And the person who I booked the load with is saying, reach out to them. Reach out. I'm like, this load I booked with you. So eventually, I was able to get to the owner of the other company and get their insurance and get it to my customer. And I still do business with that customer. That when things go wrong, communication is the key.
Facts.
Communication is the key because that saved my relationship with that customer.
Yeah.
Just from communicating. It was one of the worst situations that can happen.
That's a huge bar, bro, because I think when things come up and when you're a business owner, you try to kind of sweep it under the rug and try to make sure or try to see if the customer may not even see what's going on. But in this instance, obviously, you can't do that. But I think it's a huge opportunity for you to show what kind of character, what kind of integrity you have by facing the problem head on and giving them up-to-date answers as you get them so you can maintain the relationship so they'll give you more business and then you'll make more money.
Yes. I mean, it's pain points to this. Just like just yesterday, it may be still on my story right now on Instagram, but I had a courier. I've been working with him for over a year, and he told me he picked up a load. His communication has always been good. My customers on my line, like, hey, where's the load at? Did your driver pick up yet? And I'm like, give me a second. Let me call him. And I talked to him. He's like, yeah, I picked up. And I'm like, okay. Right back to my customer. Yeah, he picked up. And then I hang up and I'm off doing something else. She called me back 5 minutes later. That load has not been picked up. I'm like, huh? So I call him. I'm like, okay, sorry. Give me 1 second. I call him back. He don't want to answer the phone. This was just yesterday I'm talking about.
That's crazy.
This guy didn't answer the phone for about 2 hours. But he told me he picked up the load.
Yeah.
So I know the load has not been picked up because my customer said it wasn't picked up. So I had to book a whole nother truck End of the day, last minute situation, like really late.
Yeah.
And he never called me back. And I'm telling you, I've been working with this courier and he's been good for over a year. And I was so curious. So I kept calling. So I didn't keep calling right then, but I let some time go by and then I called and he answered. And he says, I was in an accident.
Hmm.
I'm like, okay. But so you ain't pick up the load. No, I was in an accident. I'm like, so why did you say you picked up the load? I'm like, look, bro, I understand that you got a lot going on right now, and I'm not trying to add no more stress to what you already got going on. But this is how we lose work.
Yeah.
This is how we lose customers
Yeah.
because I look really bad to my customer right now. I look really, really bad to my customer because I told her that you picked up already. And then you didn't pick up. And then I had to get a whole nother truck. I'm like, and it just needed just one quick minute of communication. I
Yeah.
said, it didn't take much, but just to say, hey, I got into an accident. I can't talk. I gotta go.
Yeah.
I'm like, but that's it. Like, just to be considerate. So for me, with them, of course, I'll never use them again.
Facts.
I'll never use them again because I have a very low tolerance when it comes to couriers and BS.
Yeah.
Really, I'm not with it because it's good couriers out here that know how to conduct good business and communicate, and I'm not going to knowingly put my business in jeopardy for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, as far as your how did you come up with wanting to do a course on trucking? Like, how did that come about?
Well, so the course is strictly on freight brokering.
Okay.
It's the freight broker blueprint. I never really I guess I never really wanted to, and it was more because of everybody else.
Okay.
I just really that it was like my thought process of not wanting to do courses was all built around everybody else is doing this right now.
Yep. Because everybody else was doing it, you didn't want to do it.
I didn't want to do it.
Got it.
I did not want to do it. I mean, I was like, nah, not for me
Yeah.
because everybody else is doing it. And I don't want nobody calling me fake. And I just don't want to deal with that. I don't feel like dealing with that. I don't want nobody calling me a scammer. I just don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
And my wife was like, but you got a lot of good information that could be helpful to people.
Yeah.
And then in the meetup, that's where it really, really kicked off. In the meetup, I think it was Bren that said, it was either Bren or Dave, but they said, you don't value it as much as other people. Like you think it's just average, normal information
Yeah.
because you know it.
Yep.
But that information that you feel is just regular info is very valuable to somebody else.
Yeah.
And it's selfish for you to sit on it and not share it.
That's it.
Selfish to not share the information. So that's where it got to me. And I could say over the years, in the different roles that I've been in management and things, I've had to take on different teaching roles,
Okay.
training, teaching, trying to pull the best out of people.
Yeah.
Those are the positions that I've been in. So teaching now on something that I've been able to have some success in,
Yeah.
it's just flow. It just flows now. So it feels good. I'm telling you, having conversations, that's one thing that really got me. I started doing free consultations and just talking to people and realizing the value that they felt from the conversation was doing something for me. Yep. Like, just even, here's another example. Posting, with me being selfish about not wanting to post. You know how many times I've gotten a message from somebody that say, bro, your posts are inspiring me. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
I got one of those today. Today, I got one that said, bro, your posts are inspiring me to keep going. I'm like, I'm doing that for somebody?
Now you inspiring me, man, because I got to get back on and do my
man, post. That's the thing about social media, man, because now I feel like, you know, if I done pulled these people towards me and I'm giving value information, and now somebody is actually looking for it.
Yeah.
And for me to just leave it and then just walk away, I feel like I'm doing, I feel bad. Like I don't feel good. So it's a part of, you know, my routine. One thing Morning Meetup has done is helped it make things easier for me in the process, because I used to have a whole lot of anxiety around posting and all this stuff. And now, just like how you talked about seeing your time on, now it's just like I'm on to do my post and then I'm out. You know what I'm saying? I may scroll a little bit, but really I use social media. I post and then I dash out. Like I'll post and just shut my phone down, because I'm like the likes and all that. Like,
yep. You get caught up in there.
Yeah. Not even worry about that. Let me just post and put my phone down. Y'all feel how y'all feel about it, but I know where it's coming from for me. You know, so I could just leave it there and let it go, you know. So
now I know you don't I know you don't like sales, or you're not the sales guy, but I think it's very important to tell people the value of being a freight broker, meaning the earning potential and why they would want to get into that. I think it's important for you to tell them, because I think all sales is like, I've been in sales pretty much ever since I've been out of college, and I was probably selling stuff way before. Like I remember in middle school, I used to go to the corner store, get now relators, and I was selling them in school. Gum, I'm selling it, fam. I've always been a hustler in some way or shape or form. I've always been hustling, always. But all sales is presenting somebody with options. Hey, here's what I have. This is what it is. This is what it can do for you, and you get out the way. You ain't got to do all the. Hey, look, and it does this, and it does it, and it does. Like, just tell them what it does for them, and back up.
Yep.
So with that said, like what type of money, what type of time can they get back, and things of that nature can they make?
Yes. So can I just speak to your candy selling times really quick? Candy selling days.
Yeah.
So while I say that I'm not a salesperson,
yeah,
there are things that I can draw back to over the years that tell me that I'm lying to myself.
Yep.
Like when I was in school, I used to steal candy and sell it. I would go stuff my pants full of candy, and then I'd go on the school bus and I'd be selling candy.
Yeah.
As I got older, before I even was able to have a driver's license, I walked to the auction and bought my first car and sold it. Then I went back and bought another car and sold it. And then I became the guy around the way that was selling cars.
Yeah.
Not a salesperson though.
You a hustler. You a hustler, man.
But here's the crazy, as far as freight brokerage goes. Now, this is one that'll really blow you away. So 5 loads. Think about 5 loads. Okay. Now you're a money guy. You're in the wealth, so you're gonna follow this real quick. So 5 loads at $1,000 per load.
Okay.
And your customer runs them Monday through Friday. You know what that comes out to? 1.3 million. 1.3 million on your book of business with that, because of 5 loads, by the way. So your customer has a load that goes from wherever to wherever. And so here's the thing about lanes. Most of them are what's considered dedicated lanes because they go from the same origin to the same destination.
Okay.
Dedicated lane. It go from Baltimore to Philly. This load of apples every 2 weeks or every day or however often the market needs it, however often the demand is calling for that commodity type, it needs to move. This lumber needs to move from Baltimore to Philly every day.
Okay.
So I got 5 of them every day. That's paying $1,000 each. That's $5,000 a day and $25,000 a week.
That's crazy.
And that $25,000 a week, that's $1.3 million on the year. You can make, now you don't want your book of business to be built on one customer because that's very risky.
Correct.
But that is the potential of one customer. And the only reason why I can even call it out is because I had some experience with it.
I was going to say, I'm not pocket watch. I'm not one to pocket watch, but I just wanted to know that. So you already clarified. I ain't had to say a word.
in this arena that we're in, I'm showing receipts. I'm showing receipts because yes, there are a lot of people that's not actually doing it.
Yeah.
And I've never had $1 million business before. So I'm excited too. I like to see the numbers too. So, and what I noticed is other people like to see them too. So why not show them? It's real. Yes, we actually did do 25,000 a week, 35,000 a week, and up on my book of business. Now, here's the potential of the freight brokerage world. It's very similar to the real estate game. Real estate agents all work for a broker.
Mm-hmm.
So as me being the broker, we're hiring agents now, commission-based agents that are running a business underneath our business. They run an agency underneath our business, and we make money off of their book. So
and you put them on and train them.
Yes, we give them access to our platforms, create a whole portal for them to book their loads in, give them all the tools. Now, it's a business, so you can't walk in the door free. There is a charge because we're giving you access to run your whole business through us. Now, you can go and start your own freight brokerage if you want to.
Sure.
But to be a freight agent, this is one business that you can start for very low and make a ton of money because like every other freight brokers, big freight brokers, this is their model.
Okay.
I'm not recreating the wheel.
Yeah.
This is what they do. They hire agents, as many agents as they can, and they spread all over. They have agents everywhere, all over the country. So here's the thing. I did over $1 million in my first year. I'm doing another $1 million this year, 2023. Now, I'm not the best salesperson in the world. So as I hire agents that do $2 million books of business, or $3 million book of business, or $5 million book of business. Now let's strategically hire 40 agents and have those agents hire agents underneath them. Now you got $100 million annual, $100 million annual business. Now, I'm still being level-headed, knowing that my percentage is 4%. I'm gonna go all the way down to 4% after we pay everybody. But on 100 million, I'll take 4 million and walk away.
Back.
I'll take 4 million. So what we're working on right now is building up our agents. But that is the potential. That's the potential for anyone interested in freight brokering. You can do $1 million by yourself. And that's gross. Just, of course, gross. But if you want to scale, because it's different ways that this looks, you could just do it by yourself and just say, I don't want agents. I'm going to just and I'm fine with my $1 million book of business. Because even as one person, now you can do that, and the process won't be super overwhelming because, that Baltimore to Philly load, you know how many drivers would love to take that same load every day if you had it? It's a dedicated run for them. And a lot of drivers on the road don't know what they're doing the next day.
Yep.
So anytime somebody has some work that's regular and consistent,
yep,
the drivers don't move. And the reason why I know is because of experience.
Bro, I love this, man, because you started from the bottom and you kept working. You had a good attitude. You humbled yourself. You moved yourself up through the ranks. You faced adversity. You still rose above the adversity. You listened to your wife. And now you here, and y'all, and if I'm not mistaken, she's working with you, right? In the business?
Yes.
I remember it. So to see this where you are, and you adding value to other people by your post, and now you're adding more value to them, which is then adding more value to you, because you're setting them up, you're giving them your network, and then you're also going to be able to eat off of your work.
Yep. Yes. It has really changed my life. Just, it's changed my life. I'm really happy. I mean, it took a while too. I was getting frustrated there because I'm 38 and I want things to move forward for my family. So I was getting frustrated and I was like, man, when is it going to happen? Like, when is it going to happen, man? Because like this, what I'm doing is not going to work. This ain't going to do it. This is not going to do it. And so I was getting anxious. I was getting stressed. And I'm like, man, but I'm glad that I waited it out and I didn't rush. I waited it out and we stumbled up on this. And the thing about this is it opens up so many other things, because my dream, not to try to do too much, but from being young and the upbringing where I came from, I want to build an empire.
Absolutely.
I want to build an empire of businesses of necessary, the needed, the recession-proof businesses.
Yep.
Laundromats and daycares and businesses that are needed. So the freight brokerage and the money and the income that is generated for us, it just opens us up to be able to do other things that we want to do, to be able to continue building this empire.
Bruh. This was awesome, man. This was awesome. And I guess the next question would be, when is it starting, or is it they call you up and they do a consultation and then you just start them out? How does the whole process work?
Well, what we do have, right, we have coming up, and I know this is going to be on YouTube, but for anybody that catches it now or right after it airs, we have a 3-day class that is in December. And I'm sure we'll drop some information in the comments about it. But it's a 3-day class, and it's going to give you the information that you need to start, grow, and be successful in the freight brokerage business. It's three packed days with speakers DJ Reese is going to be there just to, try to keep the crowd a little hype and engaged and everything. But its foundation is how to find your customers and then the load movement process. These are the three most pivotal parts of running this business. You have to build a solid foundation before you even think about talking to any customers. And then once you get to the customers, you got to understand who is your customer. Because I don't do business with everybody. I don't move loads for just anybody.
Yeah.
I actually do turn down work from shippers because it don't align with what I'm doing. So second day is about customers, and then day 3 is the load movement process. Because once they actually say, here goes the load, then you're like, oh, what do I do?
Yeah.
So we talk about foundation, sales, and the load movement process. 3 days, it will be recorded. So if you can't make the date, you can always catch the replay. But outside of that, we do have our freight broker course that there's a link that we can drop below to get access to the course. We have a ebook available also on how to start your freight brokerage and mentorship. We have monthly mentorship too, and that's on a limited basis because it's about the quality. I want to make sure that you get the information. So it's a limited amount of monthly mentorships that we do, but we do have that available, and we can drop that information too.
Bro, this was awesome, man. If I didn't get anything else from this conversation, hopefully there was so much information in there, is that you have to humble yourself. You have to start where you are, learn what you need to learn where you are to make it to where you want to go, and always keep the end goal in mind. Where you are is not where you're going to end up, unless you do something where you're not humbling yourself, or you're not listening to your spouse, or things of that nature. And then you also have to be a doer, man. Like, you can't just get the information, just keep getting information over and over and over again and not do. You have to do, or get good. Like he said that Donnie or Dave told him, get good at something, be focused on that, get good at it, and then you can move on to the other things. But B, this was an awesome conversation, bro.
Yes, sir, man. I appreciate you for having me on.
For
and this is a platform right here that y'all gonna hear about for a good while. I'm telling you, wealth is a journey. Shay, he has so much information that is pivotal to success and growth. And I'm glad to be connected with you, bro.
My guy.
I'm glad to be connected with
you. I appreciate it, man. My wife and I, when this airs, I got some big news coming. And I'm debating whether I'm going to delay an episode to get the news out there, but this is something that we've been working on for a long time. You probably already know what it is. It's something we've been working on for a long time. We were able to accelerate some things and get the thing done. And I'm just like, and we just made the decision today. Today.
Okay.
Before a couple hours before we did this episode, bro. And
congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, bro. I'm still in shock, bro, because it's something that we've been working on for so long, and now we're here. It's like, now what?
Yeah. That's it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing, but it's because of the journey.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And that's why I named, and God dropped it in my spirit to name it that. But now it all makes sense, because it's like, wealth is truly a journey. Like, it's not something that's quick. We want microwave things. It's not that. It's not going to happen like that. And if it does, it will not last. You got to go through the starting from here and then working your way up and learning along the way to maintain the thing that God is going to give you later on if you don't give up.
Yes. Ooh, man.
Bruh. Yeah. So B, man, this episode blessed me, bro.
Hey.
It did. So I appreciate you, man. And you keep doing your thing out here, keep adding value to people, man. And and your customers are first. And that's one thing I got also, is that your customers are first. And if you keep them first and you do good business by them and you add value, you're always going to be in demand, bro.
Yep. And for us as a freight broker, both sides of our customer, the carrier as well as the shipper.
Yeah.
We need to build good relationships on both sides.
Facts. So yeah, man, I will put B's information, all his company information, everything below, and we will make sure we get this information out to the masses so we can start getting to these M's. Wealth is a journey. Thank y'all for tuning in. We'll see you next week.